Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about, and I'm already laughing because those of you who have followed my journey for a while know that I tend to go through, stages and phases where I'm like, I have forgiven my parents, and then a year later I'll be back like, single mom should not procreate, and I'll be back, complaining and stuff. So this is where I am at now, and it feels different. It feels different. As you can hear this bird singing in the background, I feel a lightness in my heart. I feel a sense of gratitude. I just feel like something has let up on me. And I talked about this on my main channel. I feel like I had been plagued under a number of demons, spiritual entities that had their grip on me, because I just felt like something was draining off these negative emotions and constantly feeding me these thoughts and ideas. And it was like anytime, I knocked a glass over on the table, oh, I hate my parents because I have to exist. Anything that happened, I was just angry at my parents because I had to exist. And then in my recent video, I talked about how I'm deconstructing here in Mexico, living in a quote-unquote third world country, a developing country, and realizing that this is the life that I should have had based on my upbringing and my background, and that being in Canada made it painful for me to recognize the discrepancy between my life and the average, Canadian that I grew up around. But just living here and seeing how beautiful it is here, and seeing, the cultural differences and understanding things differently as the dog starts barking and I start to feel murderous inside again. I actually don't feel as bad as I used to before. I feel a lot more angry. I really hate that dog and I'm going to be so glad to move. But I don't know, like something shifted for me. Something shifted. And part of it is I just asked God for guidance. I said, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I've tried everything. I don't like this feeling. It doesn't help. It doesn't solve a problem. Sometimes when we're in pain, we may feel like we have to search and find and complain and protest that there's a problem that needs to be solved. And sometimes it's just a different perspective you need to take. And I feel like that's kind of what happened to me. I just kind of realized, I don't know, there is some part in me that was like, my parents should have known better. But now that I look at them, I'm like, no, no, they shouldn't have. They were just doing what little orangutans do. They did not know better, And even if they did, none of that matters. I'm here now. They don't care. They never will care. I accept it. And I just get to live this life out. And as I'm also seeing many of my peers passing away, and I'm looking at the lives of people that I grew up with who I thought had it much better than me, and I'm like, man, I actually had a freaking crazy ass cool life, and I had so many good experiences that I'm starting to realize that not a lot of people had. And that, yeah, even though it sucked, I suffered a lot and everything else, I did the best I could with what I was given, and I'm proud of myself. I should have been a little, single mom with 12 children on welfare screaming at this point in my life. I should have been in a number of abusive relationships with alcoholic men, and I wasn't. In my 20s, the first man I moved in with, oh, that was terrible. That was real terrible. But it wasn't abusive alcoholic dude or anything. I look back and I'm like, oh, I see why you made that choice. Good for you. You made a big mistake. You learned a lot about men. But after that, the relationships I had in my 30s and beyond, well, my late 20s and beyond were really good. I mean, comparatively. I'm going to talk about that later, but I always chose men who did a lot for me and who were like obsessed with me and everything else for years, you know? And yeah. And I achieved a lot of the things that I wanted to do. Many, you know, my mother talked about writing a book so many times. You know, she had all kinds of stuff lying around, and sometimes, you know, that procrastination creeps in for me, and I struggle to finish projects that I start. It's true. But I've published 4 or 5 books so far. You know, I have my YouTube channel, which I've been working at for over a decade, and it frustrates me from time to time, but it has revolutionized my life, you know, and the way I've been able to live. And it's also improved like my confidence, my presentation skills, my self-awareness. It's done so much for me. So, yeah. And I guess I kind of came to this conclusion because I watched a Roosh V video, his final speech. Do I agree with these guys' behavior, all these pickup artists and stuff? No, obviously not. But I was able to relate to them because I was like an outsider in many ways who was trying to strive for something and constantly getting rejected and never giving up. I think that's probably why it is. And because I was kind of a black sheep, kind of a pariah, I'm a bit of a radical in many ways, like they were very misunderstood in many ways. So yeah, there's a lot of things in his speech that drove me crazy, but he's an amazing storyteller. I've saved it in my random videos I love playlist here on this channel if you want to see it. And one of his conclusions that he came to at the end was, if you need help, just ask God for help. You know, like religion is so confounded and crazy and everything else at this point in history, but there's something out there. We don't actually know what it is, and you can ask for help, and you can be humble, and you can ask for guidance. And I just said, I don't want, you know, and it made sense to me. Like I had this weird dialogue image with myself. I had this like conversation with myself in my mind where I was like, this is so heavy, I'm carrying this, like look what my family did, this is the family I came from, they're so terrible, look what they did, look what they did. And I had the higher version of me that's like, if that bag is heavy, put it down. And I was like, no, you need to know about it because this, and I'm like, I don't want it. And I was like, okay, then put it down, leave it behind. Leave them on the doorstep. Once again, you've done this before. You know, I did the John Bradshaw exercise. Again, that's in my CPTSD healing playlist on this channel. The John Bradshaw exercise where you rescue your childhood self from your childhood home and you're like, bye, and you walk away. That's what I need to do. Why am I still talking? Like, imagine if somebody, you know, and it's true, like, it makes sense. Like, I was so damaged. And I'm probably, honestly, irreparably damaged in this body on earth by what was done to me when I was a kid. Okay, I've tried everything. And for me, it's like my spirit that I need to call upon. And it was a great injustice and a great disservice, yeah. You know, and there's no but about that. So I understand why there's a part of me that wants to constantly call it out and constantly talk about it, but there's also a part of me that's looking and is like, this is so old that it's beyond old, and it's pathetic, and it's not helping. And I think we do need to talk about these things. People do need to speak up and say, I was hurt, I was damaged, my parents did this, my parents did that. People need to talk about it for a number of reasons, you know, so that parents can look and go, oh crap, this might happen to me. Some of them, only social pressure is the only thing they care about. So they're like, oh, I need to fix it. I need to get help. I need to change. Or for people to look and go, oh, crap, I guess having a kid's much harder than I thought. Or for people to look and say, oh my gosh, I've been damaged too, and I've been living a lie, and these problems are not my fault, and everything else. So like, yeah, we need to speak out about this stuff. But like, I also feel like we're shifting into a new dimension or something like that. I feel like there's this golden, sparkling sunshine bus that somehow is coming through the galaxy right now in humanity. Times are changing, something's going on. And they're like, hey, we only got room for you, your authentic self, your spirit, your soul, your beauty, your creativity, all the things that you had to put behind you to get through life up to this point. We got room for that on this bus, but that's it. Are you coming? And I'm just like, yeah. Putting those bags down, grabbing my cat Maurice, and we're stepping onto this golden sunshine bus. I don't know what it is, but I can feel it. And I'm really grateful for it.